Hi folks, Justin here with Blue Ox. Today I'm here to show you the installation of your Blue Ox SwayPro weight distribution, which is going to be compatible with most traditional Airstreams. Here in front of me is laid out what's going to be in the box. Here we have the shank that gets inserted in the receiver of the tow vehicle. We have different various drops and diameters here for certain applications. Here's going to be the head assembly. We're going to show you how to adjust that here shortly. One valuable thing on this head assembly is it has built-in caster. That's going to be a sway prevention. It's a corrective type sway, so we'll get into more of that here shortly. This is going to be some additional hardware on mounting. It's also going to have some additional quick links for your safety chains if they are not long enough to reach once it's hooked up. This will give you additional reach. Your 5/8 pin and clip. It's going to come with two rotating latches. There's not a left or right side. They both rotate the same way, but one's going to rotate one way and on the opposite side, vice versa. It's going to have the wrench that operates the rotating latch. And lastly is going to be the weight distribution bar with the chain pre-installed. These come in three different sizes, in a 750, a 1000, and 1500, and those are going to be determined off of the dots. Now, the tools that's required. It's going to be an impact wrench, 1.1/8" socket, a backup wrench, a torque wrench, which all our torque settings are going to be in that owner's manual, a tape measure, 3/4 inch wrench, and a 5/8 socket that also is going to be used to torque down the piercing bolts on a rotating latch. So with that being said, let's move on to the installation. All right, moving on to the installation process. First thing we want to do is park the trailer on level ground. Chalk the wheels to prevent any type of movement. Then we have to determine hitch height. To determine that, we're going to level the trailer. This one here has a level here on the tongue jack. We're going to raise it and lower it till it's level. We're going to measure from the ground up to the top of the ball, would be roughly 21 inches on this particular model. That can vary throughout the different Airstream series, so definitely make sure you do this process because this is super important. We want this trailer as level as possible in transit because if we have too much weight on one axle or another, that can over-exaggerate sway in an unsafe condition. Now we'll grab our shank, our 5/8 pin, and clip. This can be used in a downward position. It also can be used in an upward position. Okay, now we're going to grab the head and the hardware. The hardware itself is going to be two 3/4 inch bolts, lock washers, and nuts. Now I'm going to grab the hitch head. As you notice, it already has a pre-installed, pre-torqued 2 5/16 hitch ball. I'm going to set this down here. Also grab my tape measure, and we're going to measure to give an idea of roughly where that 21 inches is. It's real close to the top here. But before we move on, I want to make sure if you have an air ride suspension, definitely disengage it at this point because we want to get all this SwayPro hooked up on a non-active suspension. Once the SwayPro is hooked up, the weight's back on it, then you can re-engage your air system at that point. We're going to put those two 3/4 inch bolts through. We're going to do a quick measurement before we put our additional fasteners on. And we are at 21.5 inches. Usually, on most setups, you're going to be exactly the measurement or up to 1 inch high. On some particular vehicles, that measurement can be higher. We put a disclaimer in the owner's manual exactly on those particular vehicles. Now, the next step is we want to torque this hardware down to 250 foot-pounds. Okay, we'll do the next bolt the same way. And now we have the head assembly ready to go. So moving on, now we're going to put the rotating latches on the A-frame. In our owner's manual, it's going to tell you 29 inches from the center of the rotating latch nut to the center of where the coupler is. To attach these, has a 1/2 inch with also a 3/4 inch nut. Threads in here. We're going to tighten it up just till it makes good contact with the back side of the frame. Okay, I'm going to grab my tape measure. We're going to measure from the center there, 29 inches. Right there. What that's going to accomplish when we're hooked up, the chain is going to be in a vertical orientation, because that will allow that movement in transit, that chain to go forward and back, but not much side-to-side motion, which will help to activate our caster in our head. Okay, to secure the rotating latches, you're going to need a 1/2 inch open-end wrench and a 3/4 inch open-end wrench. First, you're going to use the 1/2 inch. On the back side here, there's a jam bolt. We're going to tighten it up just till it makes good contact with the back side of the frame, that this rotating latch doesn't move. We don't want it walking on us in transit. Then we're going to use the 3/4 inch wrench, and there's a jam nut. We're going to use it to tighten it. Then we're going to also then repeat on the opposite side. Okay, now that we have the hitch assembly for the back of the truck ready to go, we have our rotating latches on the A-frame. Okay, now we're ready to connect the two together. So with the assistance of a helper or the use of a backup camera, you're going to back the truck up here till the ball is directly under the coupler. We're going to lower the coupler down and engage. Okay, once the ball is directly below the coupler, we're going to lower it down to put some of the weight on top of the hitch ball. And engage the coupler. Very next step we're going to do is we're going to raise it. This is the most important part of hitching and unhitching with any type of weight distribution, especially SwayPro. We're going to use the term of hitch it and lift it. So we've hitched it, now we're going to lift it. The higher we lift it, the safer the operation. What this is doing as I'm lifting, it's kind of creating an A-frame effect. Again, what this is going to allow us to do when we go to engage our bars, it's going to allow a lot less pressure on your wrench to operate it. And as you can tell, we've got the back end of the tow vehicle up and the front of the A-frame up. So now we'll move to the next step of installing the weight distribution bars and show you how to engage the rotating latches. The bar, the chain always goes in the upright position. Slide this in. We put our through pin and safety clip. Now we'll talk about the rotating latch real quick. To release the rotating latch, it'll release forward, or you can pull back. It's much easier to go forward and then it rotates around. So you'll see when I rotate this around by hand, it's automatically going to lock in. So when we get to the bar, we're going to count down 9 links here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. On the 9th link, we're going to put it in the groove here. Okay? We're going to use the rotating latch to rotate it. You can put the wrench on like so and engage it. Okay, now that we have both bars engaged, what we're going to do is we're going to use our tongue jack and we're going to go all the way down and put all the weight on the weight distribution bars and the truck, and we're going to do a quick measurement to see how close we are to that level hitch height that we started with. And our measurement is exactly where we started with our hitch ball height at 21.5 inches. So with that being said, that makes sure our trailer is perfectly level, so our weight is distributed evenly over the axles. Also, then that's going to give a safe and comfortable towing experience in the tow vehicle. Now we'll move on to the next step of hooking up our safety chains, our safety breakaway, and our power 7-way cord. Recommend crossing the safety chains. put in our 7-way cord that's going to give us the lighting and braking. Now we'll raise up the foot pad so it has proper clearance so it does not drag in transit. Okay, one quick reminder is it comes with 2 quick links. So if these safety chains aren't long enough to reach your safety chain attachment point on your hitch, you can attach these on there. It's going to give you additional length. So these are optional, but these come with them just in case you need them. Now we'll move into unhitching. So we're at the campground or home or storage, the proper process of unhitching the trailer from the vehicle. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run our tongue jack down. And as we're starting to take the weight off here, just wanted to mention, you can see there's some hitch blocks underneath the tongue jack here. What those hitch blocks do allow you to get extra hitch lifting out of this tongue jack. The more height we get, the easier it is to disengage these bars. So as you can tell, as I start to raise this up, the tension will slowly come off these bars. Without those blocks on there, that tongue jack could run out of extension and not have the proper lift. As you can see, we've got the front end lifted up. Now we're going to release the tension off of the spring bar. Again, the higher we raise this, the easier it is to release this. We're going to use our SwayPro wrench. Going to slide on here. We're going to have a firm grip on it. We're going to release the safety pin and slowly work itself down until it releases. Like so. And then we're going to repeat that same process on the passenger side. All right, now that we have both sides released, we're going to remove the bars from the hitch head. Okay, we're going to remove our 7-way cord. Unhook our safety chains and safety breakaway. Then we're going to lower this weight back down onto the hitch ball so we can release the coupler. Once the coupler is released, then we can raise it back up and it's going to lift off the hitch ball, and then the tow vehicle can be pulled forward and it's fully detached. Additionally, I'd like to note that you have adjustments within the SwayPro on the chains. We talked about 9 links from the loose end here. That's the good starting point. You can go up or down 1 or 2 links depending on your load. So if you have a heavier load in the back of your vehicle and it's squatting slightly, you could possibly go down to the 10th or 11th from the loose end. Say you have a little rougher ride, you can always drop down to possibly the 8th link. That's going to give you a little smoother ride, because with these spring steel bars, they're going to have a slight bow or deflection in it. That's going to give you a smoother ride for all the occupants in the tow vehicle. If you have any technical or maintenance questions, refer to your owner's manual or feel free to contact Blue Ox Customer Care.